Hi, Phil Turek here. This is Thanksgiving week when schools are shut down and families are noting the celebration or mourning of Thanksgiving Day here in the United States. I want to address the 93.4% of the world's population that is not living in a full democracy. Sadly, the United States is now in that group. Within that billions of people, I want to specifically uh, give a detailed step of how to work on political issues for people living in the United States, and then specifically high school students in the United States, high school students in California, high school students in the ABC USD school district, and most specifically at all, for some random high school student named Dexy Campbell, who posted a plea on Nextdoor yesterday that my wife saw, where this person said, I need 5 hours of civil service in order to graduate high school. So here's how you can get those 5 hours. Talk with your family. It has to be about politics. And work out with your family what is the one most urgent issue that you would like to see reformed within the federal government. Okay, I'm going to use my own example, which is I want to ban gerrymandering nationwide. But maybe your family decides, no, immigration reform is our one cause, or banning the Insurrection Act, which is going to be scary if it's not banned. Whatever the one issue is, work it out with your family. Next, go to congress.gov and see what legislation you can find that comes closest to the most urgent, one pressing reform that your family worked out that failed to become a law, let's say. In my case, I looked for what legislation had been attempted to ban gerrymandering nationwide. And I found a bill, the Dignity Act, I think it was called. No, that was immigration reform. The bill I did find was over 500 pages long, and my friend said, forget that. So I kept looking, and I found a short bill, only 35 pages long, and its focus was purely to ban gerrymandering nationwide. Nothing else. And that's the one I like. It was never passed by Congress. It was Senate Bill 5335 from the 117th Congress. It was blocked by filibuster because the dominant political party never wants to actually ban gerrymandering. But I want it banned nationwide. So what do I do? First, figure out who your representative is and which political party they belong to. In the United States, it's either Democrat, Republican, or Independent, pretty much. All right, in my case, I have a Democratic representative, I'm a Republican. I need to form a trio of 3 constituents, voting age members of the same district. 2 of the 3 have to have the same political affiliation as my representative. So I'm a Republican, I need to recruit 2 Democrats. Now, what we need to do as a trio is read through this dead bill that never became law, edit it, tweak it, and then the trio of us go off and visit our local representative's office. Probably they won't be there, but impress upon the staff member graciously, professionally, politely, that we are a bipartisan trio that is in favor of this reform. Then document it. So you're doing like a record of discussion. You're going to do a little video clip while you're there, hopefully, who your representative is, who your members are, what the reform is that you're advocating, emphasize that you're bipartisan, and send that little video clip off to David Muir of ABC News in the hopes that one day it gets noticed enough to become, televised. But also send an email off to the Democratic National Headquarters and Republican National Headquarters and anyone else you want to brag about to. And for DEXI, that's it. In your 5 hours, can you squeeze all of that into 5 hours of civic engagement? That would do it for you. Now, for everyone else, particularly the ABC Unified School District high school students and California high school students and even US high school students, there's much more you can do. So that one little thing, we need to create like a progress bar that shows how many people have actually sent in to David Muir of ABC News and the other locations their little advocation for that particular reform. So the mechanics of that needs to be worked out. For the students in the ABC Unified School District, lucky you. The state of California has a State Seal of Civic Engagement award that you can earn while you're in high school. It has 5 little steps that you need to go through. Our school district cares enough that they've created a website that explains the steps, explains the grading rubric, and tells you what you're going to get if you go through all this. A little state seal, little thing on your transcripts. I was hoping to go interview the one person at each of the 5 high schools in our district on one of the each 5 steps that you need to carry out. That didn't happen. So I'm just going to point out to you, here's this website. When you get there, it says these are the steps you need to go through in order to earn this seal, and here's what it does for you. First, engagement and citizenship. You need to have citizenship marks of either satisfactory or outstanding during the current school year that you turn in this project. You need to maintain a minimum GPA of 2.0 in all your coursework. And there's some other stuff that you can find out, or instead of stuff, if you go to their website. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you need to demonstrate understanding of democratic concepts. So you're going to have to take a U.S. high school history class that includes an assessment on the U.S. Constitution. This state seal you can earn while you're in high school. You don't have to wait until you take the course first. So you could start working on this if you're in 9th grade. Yeah. And then when you get to 11th grade, you take the course, you need to pass it. And then you submit this project. If you do all 5 things, you don't need to do them in that order, right? Got it? Okay. You'll need to participate or attend at least one local government meeting or community event and develop your reflection on it, either in writing or video. See? Third, you need to engage in a civic action project. And that's what I'm trying to get DEXI and everyone else involved with. Civic engagement, right? So you're going to investigate something, you're going to come up with a plan, you're going to act on it. And if you want more details and the grading rubric, it's at the ABC USD website. Okay. Number 4, you're going to reflect on the impact that it has on the world and on you personally and on your personal growth and development on this. So how did your actions make a difference in bringing awareness and to this problem and addressing this problem? Okay, so that's step 4. Step 5, they want to see evidence that you have matured in your civic mindedness and that you're making a long-term commitment to follow through on this stuff. Got it? And you'll have to get a letter of recommendation. If it's for me on this project, yeah, okay, but I do need to have some connection to you somehow, know you one way or another. You have these counselors at each high school in our district. And each counselor is prepared to work with you and guide you and give you feedback and encouragement on working towards this state seal of civic engagement here in California. For those of you who are not in the ABC school district but in California, find out if your school district has something similar. At the very least, you can access the ABC USD website that I'm quoting from in this little episode here. Okay, so now what Dexy is doing for her 5 hours is not really likely to make a permanent change in the world, right? So, from my point of view, this process is deeper than just the 5 hours that maybe Dexy would choose to do. Specifically, when you look at our three branches of government, we the people have direct influence over Congress. Every 2 years, we could choose to replace every single member of Congress if we chose to. Now, what I'm trying to do is use modern 21st century communications technology and social media technology to build a social networking chain for making a reform through Congress that actually makes it all the way through Congress. So, this chain is based on the idea that you know someone who knows someone who knows, in my case, an anchor. So, for my particular reform, banning gerrymandering nationwide, it's been claimed that if you show up at a town hall, that you are just a paid protester from the opposition party, you're imported from outside the congressional district, you should be ignored. By making a social networking chain where you have a link to someone you know, to someone you can validate, vouch for, then if you show up at a town hall meeting, which I call tier 2, then you can dispute the claim, you can disprove the claim that you're a paid protester from outside the district. And that's what I'm trying to go after here. Got it? Now, a lot of people these days in the United States don't think very favorably of our current president. My personal views are I've never met him, but based on what I view as a member of the public, seeing his public behavior, I feel he belongs to what the psychologists refer to as being the dark triad. And that is, it's always full of narcissism. Everything has to be about himself. It's Machiavellianism. Wow. So that means I'm willing to hurt you to get what I want. And then the third thing is psychopathy. I'll pronounce it that way, which means I don't happen to feel any empathy or remorse if I happen to hurt you along the way. I think our president has all three of those traits being exhibited on a daily basis. And so from that, psychologists would say, well, he's part of the 7% of the general population that has a smaller than local brain volume in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the cingulate cortex, and the ventral striatum, the orbital frontal cortex. Long words. What does it mean? In English, to me, I would say that means he has no functioning moral compass. And he wants to be, he'd like to be like a despot. He's not really good at that. He wants to always be validated that he exists and he's part of everyone's lives, whether they want it or not. Okay, so if your family reform is to try to do something about that, there's a path that says, okay, well, for medical reasons, maybe that qualifies under the United States 25th Amendment. But wow, you would have to work on getting the cabinet, the vice president to all go along and concur, and that would take a great deal of civic engagement to get them to do that. Okay, so that's the path you would have to go down. I'm working on banning gerrymandering nationwide, which is the path of getting the 435 members of the House of Representatives and 100 members of the Senate to go along with my reform. All right, so what pressure do I have for that? This social networking chain, what I'll call tier 3 now, so this is a change from earlier videos. My anchors, I'm choosing people who I've never met personally, other than maybe Mr. Schwarzenegger from a distance. No, not even that. So I'm choosing Arnold Schwarzenegger to be one of the three anchors for my social networking chain because he is the most highly respected Republican these days. I asked a Democrat friend of mine who's the most respected, or yeah, popular perhaps, Democrat these days. And at the time, her reply was AOC, which is short for Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 4th District, I think, in New York City, state of New York. And then myself, because I'm the inventor of this process, assuming it works. So tier 3 means Dexy's family, maybe the focus of her reform was, let's say, immigration reform. Okay, and she did her 5 hours. But now, let's say you are an ABC USD high school student, and your family's reform is also immigration reform. So maybe you can link to Dexy if she did, her little visit to trio visit to her representative, even though it's not the same district as ABC. The important is the social connection. So she's a high school student. ABC high school students are high school students. They're all in California. So there could be a social link between them. For the students who, let's say, are working on immigration reform, you need to pick your own anchors. Who are the three, maybe including one person of yourself, I don't know, but two at least, influential people, respected, non-radical, who are the anchors for your social networking chain. Okay, my example was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Representative AOC. When there's a situation where your chain says Congressman Daffy Duck needs to be replaced because they absolutely refuse to endorse this reform. And my social networking chain says, no, Representative Daffy Duck is in favor of my reform. They're just not in favor of your reform. In the old days, it would be our members of Congress who would compromise and negotiate and work out how they're going to do this. Today, Congress is non-functional. They're so polarized and paralyzed because they're polarized, they can't do negotiating. So my thought is the anchors of each social networking chain do the negotiating that members of Congress have declined to do anymore. Okay, they're just doing performance political theater now, and they rake in millions of dollars to do it, while the rest of us really want to reform our government, and it needs it. You could think of this whole process as being, hey, we're coming up on our 250th anniversary as the founding of our government. Why don't we do an extreme makeover, political edition, much needed reforms? How do we figure out? Do we keep Representative Daffy Duck, or do we place him? Well, let's leave it to the anchors to carry out the negotiation and come to a consensus about, okay, well, if you replace Representative Daffy Duck, let's put in a representative that will support both of our reforms, perhaps. Or maybe horse trade and say, hey, we can get Representative Minnie Mouse to flip and support your reform if you can get Representative, I don't know, Captain Avenger to flip and support this reform. It gets messy. But this is what Congress should have been doing, but isn't doing. I think Nancy Pelosi was an expert. She understood the vote was a coin of the realm, as she put it, and made it happen. Now we have to figure out on our own how to make it happen. All right, so I'm Phil Turek. A moderate, idealistic Republican citizen against tyranny. Happy Thanksgiving or solemn day of mourning. Bye.